Good morning, everyone. Today I'm going to do the last part of the Heart Sutra and comment on that. So this last part says, therefore know Prajna Paramita is the great mantra, the vivid mantra, the best mantra, the unsurpassable mantra. It completely clears all pain. This is a truth, not a lie. So set forth the Prajna Paramita mantra, set forth this mantra and say, Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. Prajna Heart Sutra. I remember when I first came to Colorado over 25 years ago, we used to sit at Naropa and we had a few sessions there and we chanted the Heart Sutra, and I remember some of the students challenging me and say, well, why is this the best mantra, the unsurpassable mantra? There's all kinds of other teachings. And I said, the only defense I had was, I didn't say that. It's in the heart, it's in the sutra. The sutra says that. So, Prajna Paramita we've been talking about the whole time, that's the wisdom that takes us from this shore to the other shore. It's one of the aspects of the Bodhisattva. But Prajna Paramita is also the mother of all the Buddhas. And that's what the Heart Sutra is all about. It's just talking about it. But, the Prajna Paramita literature is vast. If any of you have looked into this. And there's a version of it which is 100,000 lines long. And but this Heart Sutra is condensed. It's 24 lines, like the Reader's Digest. And it gives you the heart of the Prajna Paramita Sutra. But then some people say that the last mantra is a one-line condensation. Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. And it's always been kept in the original Sanskrit because it's as a mantra. And so I've seen a number of translations, but the one I've seen is gone, gone, totally gone to the other shore, altogether gone, awakened. And then the last word, svaha, is sometimes taken to mean something like amen, or whatever equivalent there might be in Sanskrit. But the interesting thing that I read is that, and I don't read Sanskrit at all, is that it's in the feminine voice. And so one scholar thinks that it's an invocation of the feminine goddess, Prajna Paramita. Prajna Paramita as the mother of all the Buddhas. And Roshi Shinko talks about this a lot, this Prajna Paramita. So also, I'm on a number of listservs, and when people die, Zen teachers die, a lot of other people on the listserv will just post Gate Gate Paragate Parasamgate Bodhisvaha. Gone, gone, gone beyond to the other shore. Altogether gone to the other shore. Awakened. Amen. Yeah. So this mantra is kind of like a condensation of the teachings. Of course, when we think about the Heart Sutra, we think about form as emptiness and emptiness as form. But this Gatha is extolling the power of the Heart Sutra. So if we really allow that mantra to penetrate our whole body, our heart, then it becomes the great mantra, the vivid mantra, the best mantra, the unsurpassable mantra. It completely clears all pain. You know, this is the truth, not a lie. You know, I'm not kidding you. I'm not scamming you. But as with all things in our tradition, you have to experience it yourself. You know, and maybe the past few weeks we talked about the Heart Sutra have given you a deeper appreciation of it. And when you chant it, it might resonate with you, because we chant it every Saturday, and it might resonate with you in a more profound way, hopefully. But, you know, even the chants itself, you know, is just reminds us that at each moment is a perfection of wisdom. Each moment is Prajna Paramita. So in order to realize this Prajna Paramita, perfection of wisdom, it's necessary for us to let go of things that we're holding on to. Ideas, conceptions, opinions, projections. So I like the analogy of when I was a kid, we had these little, we called them Chinese finger traps. They're made out of bamboo, and you put your fingers in it. It's like a little tube. You put your fingers in, and then you try to pull them out. You can't get your fingers out because it closes down around your fingers, I think. I don't know if they still make those things, because all my grandkids are doing is looking at their iPads. But we used to play with these things. And what do we need to do to let go? In order to get our fingers out, we have to kind of relax, and then slowly get our fingers out. If we pull against it, it just creates more resistance. So we have to let it go. We just have to go into our anger and our resistance and our pain and become one with it. But in the book of Equanimity, case 57 says, the Venerable Gomyo asked Joshu, when there's not one thing, what then? And Joshu replied, throw it away. And Gomyo said, when not one thing, what is there to throw away? And Joshu said, well, then carry it off. So I've talked about this koan before on a number of occasions, and we don't know much about this Venerable Gomyo, but it's recorded that wherever he lived, there was a snake and a tiger that would eat from his hand. And in this case, he said, when there's not one thing, then what? Well, when there's not one thing, there's no fear. And when there's no fear, even tigers and snakes have no fear. And if he has no fear, there's not one thing. And then tigers and snakes can eat out of his hand. That's what Gomyo was when he came to see Joshu. And Joshu replied, throw it away. I think maybe some of you have heard me say something similar to that, although I know Joshu. Whatever we hold on to, whatever notion we're holding on to, we have to let it go, otherwise it becomes a hindrance. And when there's no hindrance, then there's no fear. So, one ancient teacher commented about Gomyo that he was raising his voice to quiet an echo. So, think about that image. Huh? Of course, the echo is coming from your own voice, you know. So you just keep raising your voice in order to quiet the echo that's coming back. But the echo will always keep coming back. So that's not one thing. And another teacher said, not bringing a single thing, both shoulders can't bear it up. In other words, that not a single thing, it's just too heavy to carry. So throw it away. As long as you think you're bringing not a single thing, both your shoulders can't even carry it. It's too heavy. That's Joshu's point. Throw it away. Don't even carry not a single thing. And Gomyo, you know, being very precise, said, well, there's not a single thing. So what is there to throw away? He doesn't hear the echo. What's it not? Right there, he's, you know, creating something that's not a single thing. And Joshu was said to be the master of lips and tongue Zen. He always had a very pithy, appropriate thing to say, and he gets right to the point and he says, well, then carry it off. So if there's not a single thing and you can't give it up, you can't give it away, you can just carry it around all you want. And Joshu doesn't argue with him. Yeah. So he felt it was much better to give Gomyo space. So when we get into argumentative situations, what do we want to do? Well, most of us want to be right. That's the most important thing. I am right, and I'm going to be right, and I'm going to stubbornly stick to my opinion. We want to argue. We want to elevate ourselves. You know, if you only saw my point of view, if you only saw it my way, then everything would be fine. So how can you express it without getting stuck? I think I mentioned this the other night. I was in a dialogue with Kyoto Sensei for the Yin Zen Center, their program, and I said I saw this meme on the internet where this man went to the guru and he says, what's the secret to your happiness? And the guru says, never argue with fools. And the man says, oh, I don't think you're right. And the guru says, oh, you're right. Or the guy says, I don't agree with that. And he says, oh, you're right. You know, never argue with fools. So if you want to keep carrying it, carry it. So, but we have all kinds of concepts and models that help us get our arms around situations. They're helpful, but we shouldn't get stuck in them. You know, they're just models. You know, like the globe is a model of the earth. And if we get stuck in our concepts as reality, we'll be shocked over and over again when things don't go as we know they should, according to our view of the world. So when we're bound by our ideas and concepts, we're stuck in our karma. It's like that Chinese finger trap. But when we can let go of concepts, we no longer know how we're going to act. And so we're appropriate to each situation. That's our freedom. But we're appropriate in the sense that Prajna Paramita is the basis of our actions, our functioning. And that's true freedom. And as I've mentioned, the functioning of Prajna Paramita is compassion. But what does compassion look like? I mean, it's not fixed either. It's according to the situation, how to minimize suffering and maximize, awakening. And as we say in the metta prayer, may all beings be happy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be at ease. Doing what's appropriate is the expression of our freedom from the notion of what's to be appropriate. So letting go is a manifestation of the one body. Inappropriate action is a manifestation of maintaining the mind of not knowing and bearing witness. So this world of oneness, in which no thing exists, and the world of form, in which everything is different, they're not one and they're not two. They both just describe this, our very life as it is. I don't know when it happened, but a few years ago I remember reading about this act, this Las Vegas act of Siegfried and Roy. I used to go to Las Vegas for computer conventions, and they were always highlighted or headlined at, I'm trying to remember, it might have been Caesar's Palace. And Roy got attacked by one of their Siberian tigers after working for 30 years of doing these shows of illusions. Actually, I have my note here. It's a Mirage Hotel where they were. And people in the audience thought it was part of the act when he was attacked, but it was a terrible thing. And he was in the hospital in critical condition. So what does that have to do with the Heart Sutra? I was saying, well, let's consider this incident from the perspectives of emptiness and form. So, in the emptiness perspective, Roy was just feeling the pain and reacting to the pain. It was just pure pain. And then on the form side, it's oh no, I'm being attacked by a tiger. So both are descriptions of the same thing, of the same incident. Form is emptiness. The whole universe is one thing. Therefore, no descriptions apply. Emptiness is form. All descriptions are made to help us manage the one body. So this one body, has fingers and hands. It's one body. Because there are all kinds of things, not despite them, the one body exists. That is, form is emptiness. Because it's one body, the world of form exists. That's emptiness is form. So it doesn't matter whether I describe this moment from the perspective of absolute or the relative. It's just this. So we have all kinds of descriptions, like we try to imagine the sensation of tasting mango from some preconceived notion. What does it taste like? You can't describe it to anybody else. I remember people would try all kinds of exotic things to eat, like rattlesnake. And somebody said, what does it taste like? And the only thing they could say, well, it tastes kind of like chicken. Because people have, that's a baseline which people could communicate. But well, I lived in England for a number of years, back in the late 60s and 70s, and they had this stuff called Vegemite. And it's very popular in Australia and New Zealand. Vegemite. Has anybody had Vegemite? No? Oh yeah, there's a few. Yeah, Chris Cato has. Well, how would you describe it? I don't know. It's just, I found it very unpleasant to eat. But it's really popular. People use it like we'd use peanut butter, you know. They put it on everything, on a piece of bread and Vegemite. So if you haven't had an experience of it, it's hard to talk about it. You know, it doesn't matter what it is, like, you know, skydiving. Maybe you can imagine what it's like. Or like climbing Mount Everest, you can imagine what it's like, but without the experience itself, it's just, again, the imagination. So we can imagine what formless emptiness is like, but it's just a projection until we can really experience it directly. And in order to do that, we have to let go of our preconceived notions. Like Joshu said, throw it away. But letting go is hard because we're comfortable in our own knowledge of how things should be. That's a hindrance. It says in the Heart Sutra, no hindrance, therefore no fear. But we have all kinds of hindrance. You know, as you know, Thich Nhat Hanh died last week. He's one of the giants in the Buddhist world. And various quotes of his were being posted on the internet, and I saw one that said, you know, people are more comfortable with what they know. People are more comfortable with their misery than risking stepping outside of it and looking at things from a different perspective. So our fear comes from a hindrance, which comes from ignorance, which comes from holding on to our ideas. But don't get rid of your knowledge. Just get rid of your notion that knowledge is the true form, reality. Our knowledge is tools. Seeing the oneness of life, the ideas and knowledge can be used to support our compassionate activity. For example, the more languages you know, the better you can communicate. But if we don't know how to communicate what we are experiencing effectively, it can become a hindrance. So Maizumi Roshi used to say to me when I was studying koans with him, if you see it clearly, you'll be able to express it. And that's what I keep pounding into a lot of your heads, you know, and say, you know, I want you to express it better, you know. So remember that we function in the world of form. Even Prajna wisdom functions in the world of form. So it's not like one is better than the other. You know? So our life is this harmony of the relative and the absolute, of form and emptiness. It's not separate. So I'll end by just saying, what is your hindrance? And what are you carrying that you don't need to be carrying? And how can you let go of it?